Okay.
So we'll go for it. See what happens.
That's what we're going to talk about, but we'll see if it actually happens.
Roll the dice. Double sixes.
Cool.
All right. And welcome back to our podcast, Redeemed. Hope your week is going well. As you can tell, we are back in our studio. The construction is finally done.
It's done.
They repaired the roof. No more rain's leaking. So we're good. Woo! With that being said, we're going to take the next few podcasts and just look at 1 Corinthians. There is so much good stuff in 1 Corinthians, especially about laying the foundations for a church.
Well, yeah, it's Paul talking to the church.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, guys, write this down.
This is what to do.
Uh-huh.
Yep, the church in Corinth. Yep. And I don't think this is one of the churches he was real happy with. He seemed to have a lot of pointers for him.
Yeah.
I don't think they were doing things.
It was a long meeting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. They had let a few people into the church that he felt like they should kick out because of the sins and things they were doing. It also kind of sounds like they had... and it wasn't like these people were just coming to church. They were actually... like almost idolizing these people. Does that make sense? Because they had reached this higher level of spiritual maturity, if you will.
Putting them on a pedestal.
Better than everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so in their mind, it was okay to do these kind of things. Anyway, it was kind of weird. Paul,
It wasn't.
They were wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. Paul was setting them on the right track.
As he does.
And I love Paul because he doesn't beat around the bush. He just he takes the problem straight on, and away we go. And one of the chapters, in chapter 3, he's talking about the church and its leaders. But I kind of was looking at the verses there in verse 5. Excuse me.
Okay.
It says, "What after all is Apollos, and what is Paul? Only servants through whom you came to believe. As the Lord has assigned to each his task, I planted the seed, Apollos watered it, but God has been making it grow. So neither one who plants nor the one who waters is anything, but only God who makes things grow." I think that's kind of an important verse, just because sometimes as redeemed Christians, it can get a little disheartening because we can be out there sharing the gospel and not very many people are coming to know Him. Mm-hmm. When in essence, that's really all we've been called to do is to share the gospel.
Yes.
Now, depending on what the Lord has planned, whether or not that person comes to know Christ.
Yeah.
Because it's like we were discussing earlier before we started our podcast. Really, we can't do anything.
No.
Not a darn thing.
Nope.
And if it was up to us to save anybody, we'd be in trouble.
We'd all be in trouble.
I mean, basically, it's only God that does that through us.
Yep. But God has been making it grow. Making the seed grow.
And God's been making it grow. And sometimes I think we have a tendency to put God in a box. And we need to understand that God can do anything He wants. He has no confinements. There are nothing that really constrains Him. Yeah, limitations. Mm-hmm. He's God. He created all. He can do what He wants.
Yep.
But what we need to understand is that just as Christians, our goal is just to be out there sharing the gospel. And every opportunity we get, people asking questions, make sure we answer those questions. And then you never know. Maybe somebody else down the road, like he was saying,
he planted it,
yeah,
right?
and Apollos watered it.
Yep.
So somebody else came along later and watered that, and then that's when the transition began.
Yeah.
Or maybe you're watering it.
Yeah, as I say, maybe we get to reap the benefits of somebody else's prior work as well.
And
Who knows?
And if you continue
God
to read,
knows.
Yeah, God knows.
Yeah.
Absolutely, God knows. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's the... excuse me. That's the benefit of the next part of the verse where it says, each will be rewarded according to their own labor.
Yep.
So, whether you watered it, whether you planted it, doesn't really matter. You're going to be rewarded just because you're what? You're laboring for Him. And ultimately, that's what we've been called to do, is just to labor for Him.
Absolutely. And not to be discouraged, too.
Absolutely.
You're going around planting a bunch of seeds. You don't know what's happening all the time once they leave.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. You know, there's been many times when our church went on mission trips, and it didn't seem like we were that very beneficial. And
Correct.
it was it could be disheartening sometimes. But then you would hear, a few months later that this many families had been connected to that church because of what we did.
Mm-hmm.
we couldn't have seen that while we were there. It was something that just took time, and through the outreach of what we did, connected those people with the church.
Planting and watering, God growing.
So we have to be careful because we don't want to take it upon ourselves that it's us who's saving anybody, because we don't.
Nope.
We're just God's instruments and his tools. But more than that, let's don't get down about the fact that we may not be seeing a lot of produce from what we're doing. Production. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
But
We're not seeing a lot of produce.
Yeah.
The
Getting a lot of
veggies, the
tomatoes
fruits.
or lettuce.
hey, you know what? The fruits of the spirit are what? Okay. We talk about produce. Okay. Besides, we're talking about seeds and plants, aren't we?
We don't know what we're growing,
It's
but
on the mind.
Yep. And so we may not see a lot of traction there. That better?
Yes.
In the fact of when we're sharing things, but we just need to understand that God's got it. He's in control, and we're just doing what we've been called to do. So
Absolutely.
keep sharing. Absolutely, keep sharing. That's all I can encourage you to do. I thought it was interesting today at work. Had some opportunities to talk a little bit about some Bible stuff. It was pretty cool.
Nice.
So always be ready. Keep sharing. All right. See you guys next time.